So picture you found the perfect house. It's perfect in every single way, and you are about to put an offer on that home. And you find out that the seller wants to live in it for a little while after you close on the house. What do? Well, in this video, I am going to tell you a little bit about post-possession and pre-possession of a home. It's pretty interesting stuff, so stick around. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Hi. You will see so many fun things about Arizona on this channel. We explore Arizona. We talk about buying homes. We talk about selling homes. We do model home tours, neighborhood tours. So if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit that little red button down there and hit that little bell. That would be awesome. And I can send you more videos just like this. So I'm going to give you a really quick definition of what pre-possession and post-possession are. So really basic definitions right up front. So if you are buying or selling a home, normally the possession of the home goes to the new owner at close of escrow. When it's recorded with the county and you get the keys in your hand, that is possession. But there are a couple exceptions. There's pre-possession and post-possession. Pre-possession is when the buyer moves into the home prior to close of escrow. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But what's happening right now in this current seller's market is something called post-possession, where the seller of the home stays in the home for a little while after close of escrow. That sounds really weird. Why would anybody do that, right? But it's really actually kind of common right now. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about it because it's one of those crazy, risky things. And you know, I'm here to educate and empower you as a buyer and a seller. So I want to just give you a little bit of advice on this because I've been working with buyers and we look at house after house after house and we're putting offer after offer after offer and we're trying to be creative with our offers. We're trying to be the best offer for that seller. But sometimes we come across a seller that's asking to stay in the home to do a post-possession. And my buyers react like, oh, that's okay. Because they're just so anxious to get a home and because of how fast the market's moving, you know, they're just willing to try anything. But post-possession, it can be a mess, And I want to preface that any and all advice in this video, I'm not a lawyer. And the first thing I'm going to recommend to you is to talk to a lawyer that specializes in landlord-tenant law if you want to get into a post-possession agreement. And here's why. So post-possession, many sellers are requesting a post-possession sometimes 30, 60 days because they too are trying to buy a house. And they too are in the same market that my buyer's in. And trying to find a house is a little difficult, so they want to have enough time after close of escrow so they have that money in their hand, right? So either they have a better deposit or they've got the cash to close with. Either way, they want to be able to close, get paid, and then have the money to be able to offer on another house. So that's why they want to stay in the house. Mostly because they just don't want to move in with their kids or their in-laws or whatever. So it just seems easier just to move once, right? And that makes a little sense. But here's where it gets a little risky, right? In a very real sense, once the buyer closes on that home and the seller is still living there, they become a landlord and a tenant. And how they agree upon that possession is between them. And again, talk to your lawyer to figure out what is going to be the best arrangement. My brokerage in particular is not a fan of post-possessions. We do have a post-possession agreement within our paperwork that allows for an up to 30-day post-possession. And ideally, everything's smooth, and that's great. If you're going over 30 days, now you're getting really hairy, because if you're financing, then you need to check with your lender if you're violating any of your clauses that says that you're an owner occupant of that home. And if you're not occupying the home you own, that can get really messy with your lender. And then you need to check with your homeowner's insurance. Can you even have someone in the house when you're not occupying it, and are you still covered? Or does the seller/tenant need to have their own insurance? Should they get renter's insurance for their personal property? What if there's a fire? Who's responsible for that? So those kind of questions, now you're thinking, now what's going on? Oh. Some other questions that come up, right? Do you charge the seller/tenant rent for living there? I mean, you have to pay the mortgage, right? So are you charging them rent? How much do you charge? Are you going to ask for a security deposit? I've seen some agreements where everybody's just trying to be fair and just play along and make sure everything's smooth. So the owner/landlord is only charging the seller/tenant $1 a day or something like that for rent, but charging $1,500 for security deposit. And you can't do that in the state of Arizona. There's laws about how much security deposit you can charge in comparison to how much rent you can charge through the Arizona Landlord and Tenant Act. So there's all these things. Again, talk to your lawyer. So if there is a security deposit, who's holding on to the security deposit? Oh, you're not looking at me, because no, I'm not holding that money. Oh, no, you're not. Don't look at me. I'm not holding that money. So are you going to get an escrow account? Are you going to hold it in your bank? Are you going to mix your funds? I mean, that's kind of something to think about, right? Who's going to deliver notices? So let's say your 30 days are up, Mr. Seller Tenant, and you need to get out of here. But guess what? The seller tenant doesn't want to get out of there. So now buyer landlord has to submit an eviction notice. So who's going to do that? Who is going to be in charge of final walkthroughs, making sure that once the seller does leave and the buyer comes into their home that they purchased, that everything's been taken care of and in good shape? Are you holding that seller tenant responsible if they're not maintaining the pool or the yard or the house? When you come in and it's a total mess, did you write that out in an agreement that house would be cleaned up before they left? And what happens if the seller tenant decides that they want to leave earlier than the agreement and they want a refund on some of their money? How do you handle that? So one thing I hope I'm being very clear about, that this is not something you should be doing by yourself. This is also something that your real estate agent can't help you with. At least I can't, because EXP does not license me to do property management. It's not within my license to do that. So it's up to you and your lawyer. So we talked about post-possession, and that's when the contract to buy the home has been completed and done. So let's talk a little bit about pre-possession, because it's got its own little rules too. Pre-possession is when the buyer of the home moves into the home prior to close of escrow. So they don't own the home yet, but the seller has allowed the buyer to move in early. It's got its own fun things too. Now at this point, the contract hasn't been fulfilled. There hasn't been a close of escrow yet, so the seller does still have terms and warranties within the contract that they have to stick to. But some of these warranties expire upon possession. So one of them is that the seller has to maintain the home and fix any repairs that happen to the home while it's in escrow and about to close. So for example, if there was a big monsoon and a tree hit the roof, and now there's a tree in the yard and some broken roof tiles, the seller is technically responsible to pay for those repairs because we haven't gotten to close of escrow yet. But if you are in a pre-possession situation and the buyer already moved in, then the buyer, now that they are the possessor of the house, are responsible for those repairs. So you think about something like that, think about a flood situation, or think about anything that happens and is damaged in the home. And then what happens if the buyer's loan isn't fulfilled? What if they don't qualify for it? What if at the end of the day they did everything they could and they just couldn't buy the home and they're already in it? What do you do there? That's going back to that post-possession talk about where did you agree on the deposits, on the damages, on the repairs, on the cleaning. What did you agree to prior to that buyer moving in? And now that the buyer can't pay for the home, what happens next? So super messy, super gross. Again, talk to a lawyer and talk to your home insurance agent and find out what you can and cannot do during a post and pre-possession. So I hope that cleared that up a little bit. Mostly I'm putting this video together just because I've just had so many buyers and sellers thinking that it wasn't a big deal to do a post or pre-possession, and post-possession is just so common right now in this seller's market, but it is very risky, and I just want to make sure that you are thinking about every single outcome that could possibly happen if you decide to go into a post or pre-possession agreement. Again, talk to your home insurance agent and definitely talk to your lawyer. If you need someone that specializes in landlord-tenant law, let me know. I can send you a referral. If you have any more questions, be sure to leave a comment. That'd be fantastic. Give me a thumbs up on this video if you found it informative. And reach out to me if there's anything else I can help you out with buying or selling a home, especially when it comes to pre or post possession. Until next time, stay geeky, my friends.